Well, good evening, gang, and welcome to It's All About Arts. My name is Glenn Williams, and I'm your host. And to my right and to your left, of course, is the lovely Julia Perciasepe. Hello, Julia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I want to remind everybody that we are coming to you live from our beautiful studios here at BNN TV, and you're more than welcome to join us if you'd like. We're at 617-708-3290. And Anya from Simmons College is here for the first time, inaugural. Thank you for being here. We're very proud to have her in. You know, one of the things I don't get to talk about a lot is that this is actually an educational facility. Yeah. And what happens is a lot of the college kids from around the area, around the world, we've had them from Ireland, we've had them from all over Europe that have come to BNN TV to find, to kind of learn about live television, So Anya's here from Simmons, and what she's doing is she's coming to get that first-hand experience on how to do, television.
Yep.
So if any cameras fall over today,
it's not our fault.
It's David's fault. We're going to be blaming David. No, we're not going to blame David. But David and the gang are in the other room answering phones. So if you want to join us today, give us a call. We're at 617-708-3290. If there's a block on your phone, let's say you have a phone that doesn't show up on somebody's screen when you call. If you go *82, there's the information right there. You can give us a call and let us know what is going on artfully in your life or in your community.
You can also tweet us
that's a good idea.
It's All About Arts to also let us know what's going on artfully in your community or what you're up to. I can even mention you on Julia's World.
Yes, that's a good idea.
If it's fitting.
And if you have any ideas for our program, or if there's someone you'd like to see, or if there's something that we're just not getting out to you, please give us a tweet.
Give us a tweet or a call.
Or a call. That'll work out great. The other thing is this program is going to be repeated several times this week on BNN, but we're also going to have it up on our YouTube station, which is It's All About Arts 1 is the YouTube station. So if you need to, if you missed part of the show or you want to check us out or tell somebody about it, that's how you do it. You can visit it tomorrow. Around this time, it'll be up and running. The other thing that's really cool about BNN TV is that we are streaming live at www.bnntv.org. And that is where you can tell everybody around the country and around the world. All the ships at sea can catch us by just logging on to that address, www.bnntv.org. And click on what's playing now, and Julia's going to pop up. Yeah. And there we will be. Right? What's going on? Anything? It was a beautiful weekend.
It was a beautiful weekend. I spent a lot of time outside. I also saw the new Godzilla.
I need to know, is he still a good guy?
It's still a good guy. Well, that was my question because I haven't fully seen the original. Was he originally a good guy?
You mean the first 15 of them?
Well, yeah, okay, but was he always a good guy?
Yeah, it's always been like, you always kind of say, oh, Godzilla.
He remains.
Not again.
Not again.
You've gotten yourself into another situation.
Yeah, it was.
The other guys aren't the nicest guys in the world.
No, the other guys were not nice at all. And I mean, although they say Godzilla's nice, he's still, when he walks, killing people and trampling.
He definitely has
he's
a space issue.
He does. He has some
His personal space seems to definitely infiltrate other people's areas.
I went with a bunch of friends and we went out to dinner afterwards, and we just had so much to say about it because it's just one of those things that's like logistically, you're like, how is this happening? How is this happening? But it's,
well, the same thing happened when King Kong came back. And because of digital world and stuff, it's not a guy in a rubber suit anymore. Right. But you have to see the original Godzilla.
Okay.
All right.
I'll put it on my list.
On your bucket, because the story is. It's an interesting thing. I mean, the whole nuclear thing in Japan getting involved. I mean, that whole, why did this creature become, I'm not giving the storyline away. This story has been around forever.
Yeah, no secrets.
No.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a cold.
That's all right.
I'm sorry. And, but anyways, yes, please check it out.
Yeah.
And the thing that was kind of cool about King Kong, my buddy Tim would say that he'd be able to act, he'd be able to react and move more like a real, you know, creature.
Yeah.
You know, pick someone up, no, wrong person, throw them off to the side.
Yeah.
Well, that guy had issues too. But I'm glad you got out with your friends.
Yeah.
Did you have a nice meal? Just stop someplace?
Yeah.
Good.
Some sushi. Some Godzilla sushi.
That's not a meal. Sushi's not a meal. I'm going to argue that. That's
right.
just not a meal.
Really?
I don't think so.
Even if you have enough of it?
Well, how much of it can you eat is, I think, that begs the other question, the other side of it.
I'm a vegetarian, so I only eat the vegetarian version,
Okay.
which is even less of a meal, probably, to you.
Are you an absolute vegetarian?
Yeah.
No meat?
No meat.
Eggs?
Yes, eggs. I'm
Chicken.
not a vegan. No
Chicken and fish?
No chicken, no fish.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. That's...
Yeah.
I've heard of people like that. No, I understand that it's a very healthy lifestyle. And is it excuse me, is it health-wise or is it my fellow animal life thing? Is that what's behind it for you?
There's multiple reasons, and I've had to explain this so many times
Here I
in my
am
life.
digging into your personal life on live TV. I'm sorry.
That's totally fine. I'm sure there are many people in my same position, but I was fairly unique as a kid that, you know, when at a young age I stopped. I refused to eat meat. There was just something about it that didn't sit right with me. It didn't taste good to me. I just completely stopped, and my mom, you know, was probably the most frustrating thing ever. But yeah, so I stopped, and then as I grew older and more educated about it, I, you know, came to agree with a lot of the principles behind it and the health reasons. And but yeah, still to this day, I just have no taste for it.
So it's literally not a change of life issue for you. It's just
natural
the
to
way
me.
it's Julia's world.
It is. It's Julia's world. Yeah. I like to think that I'm a more evolved human being.
Right. Well, you are. There's no question about that. We have gotten some emails on last week's show. Thank you very much for chirping in. In fact, there is a group in Weston, Connecticut that saw the show and said, you know, we've got kids that dance and sing too. Can we come on? Absolutely, you can come on. I mean, this is a show. It's a Boston-based show, but because we reach out so far and there's so many people that actually check us out, I mean, we would love to see some tapes. If you wanted to send us some tapes of your kids.
You need to audition.
No. I don't mean audition. I mean, we would put them on for them.
Yeah.
You know, I think we'd check it out and see how that is. It would be kind of fun to do. I love kids.
Kids equals fun.
I showed the video to last week's show to the kids at Orchard Gardens.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay,
yeah.
we're next.
I've been waiting. Yeah.
They're going to be on in a couple of weeks.
Okay. I'm ready.
I'm very excited. Next week we won't be here though, because next week is Memorial Day. Can you believe it's summer?
I can't believe
the summer is here.
It still doesn't quite feel like it, but certain moments when you're sitting in the sun, you're like, all right, it's time.
When I step out of my room and hit the yard, it's like, oh. Man.
Or when you step out the door and you smell the barbecues.
Yeah.
that is the real indication.
Yeah.
You know, people are sitting outside.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to remind everybody that the Rosendale Village Main Street's Farmers Market's coming very, very soon. In a couple of weeks, it's going to be starting in Rosendale Square. You know, it's not going to be in Adams Park, because if you've been driving around or by any of the area down there, you'll notice that there's a lot of construction going on there. Redoing Adams Park. They're making it more accessible. They're giving us some more room, and we'll be moving back there later on in the summer. But in the meantime, we're not going to discontinue the great Farmers Market that's been going on in Rosendale. So we're going to be up at the T Station lot. Not the little one, but the great big one. So we're going to have lots and lots of vendors, lots of art going on, lots of music, which I'll be involved in, of course. And so it's, I just want to make sure people know that if you drive by and see bulldozers, it doesn't mean we're not going to have the farmers market. It means that they're working on a better space for the farmers market.
I just had another friend move to Roslindale.
It's an epidemic.
It is. They're dropping like flies.
Well, you know, we had that article last week, I think, sometime, where they were asking what the Globe, the Boston Globe, was determining where the top 13 or 14 places to live in New England, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
the best places in the area to live, and Rosendale was one of them.
Wow.
And one of the reasons is because of its diversity,
Yep.
and because there are so many different ways to feed yourself, but ethnically, not just, you know,
Yep.
not a lot of pizza stores, not a lot of Italian restaurants, but a great Italian restaurant, great pizza place, but also incredible other ethnic, you know, places to eat. So
Yeah.
I think that there's a great Greek restaurant down there. There's, you know, there's just amazing bakeries that specialize. Vero's Bakery is one of the most outstanding bakeries. It's incredible. So we're very, very happy, and tell her welcome. Tell her to come to her.
It's a him.
Him, tell him to come visit the farmer's market.
I will.
And come over and say hello.
Yeah, I
It'll
will.
be good. You know what I like to do every couple of weeks is talk a little bit about this great organization that you
Yeah.
work for. Tell what's the name of your organization?
It's Documentary Educational Resources, or DER, as we call it.
As you call it on the inside.
Yeah, on the inside. Yeah, we're a nonprofit. We distribute and market films mostly in the academic world.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I think one of the things we haven't asked is how long has it been there? How long have you been doing this? Not you personally, but the company itself?
Yeah, the company has been around since 1968.
Oh, really? It's that
old. It's a
old?
very, very old company.
You haven't been there that long.
I have not been there that long, no. And we have about 1,000 films that we have in our collection. Some that go far back as, you know, the early 20th century, up until this year. And
they're all document-based,
They're all
right?
documentaries. They used to be called ethnographic films, and we've kind of, it's a very kind of dated term that we've kind of, we're very rooted in visual anthropology, and various cinema verite, various other documentary styles and genres. Yeah, and basically, you know, all of our stuff is for teaching about, you know, a certain community or culture around the world.
Are they kept to a certain length so that they can be used academically, or will
No.
people use them in part 1, part 2, and part 3
Yeah,
type
I mean,
things?
we have shorts, we have films that have 2 different versions, one short, one long. We have films that are in multiple parts, so you could throw one on in the classroom and then show another one another day or something like that. But then, you know, we have broadcast length films and all different kinds.
Do you find that that you're getting more attention from the collegiate level of education, or a high school and even middle schools? Are they getting involved in getting some documentary film?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting environment right now because a lot of school budgets are cut, especially for media. And even though at the same time media is becoming more of a player in the classroom, so it's this interesting kind of intersection of these two things. And so, yes, colleges and high schools are our main audience, but actually what we call the home user, or you or I in our living room watching a movie, those people have started buying documentaries more as, you know, documentaries in general become more popular, which in the last 5 years it's taken off like crazy.
Is it more where people are gonna, you know, get a package here, or is it something where people can link up to you and see something online?
Both. I mean, again, that's another one of those things where it's kind of transitioning.
Yeah.
Obviously with Netflix and Hulu and iTunes, there's all of these various platforms where you can stream a film, and so we do partake in all of that.
Yeah, because I can see where a school could join as a membership or something of that nature, and they could get 3 films for this half a year or what have you, and they can just kind of log on and kind of show it that way.
Yeah, there's actually, so there's those kind of mainstream platforms, and then there have, in the last 5 years, some educational platforms have come about that, you know, you or I can't use at home because it's only for a school. They buy a subscription and you can only access it on campus, you know, through a password. And so that's kind of something that we also partake in. And so we will have our entire collection on that platform. So a school can say, I want this film, this film, this film, and they subscribe, and then any student can access it. There's, various, you can make playlists, you can do all these various social things with it, which is really cool.
It's something that's an educator could fit into their curriculum down the line.
Definitely.
My curriculum is going to call for something in the civil rights or something in here, and I'll be able to go to UCATS and get it. I think the exciting thing that you do is you do these premieres for the public out in the community where people can kind of load into a theater. Emerson, for instance, I guess.
We've been doing a bunch at Emerson. We have a new film called Power to the Pedals, which is about a bike movement in Cambridge, and they're going to be doing a couple of screenings this summer, so I'll let you guys know more about that. But yeah, community screenings is one of our big initiatives as a nonprofit. We want people to be able to see these films and to learn from these films and share it with their communities. And not only communities learning about other cultures, but a lot of the films we have, the communities themselves that the films are about like to screen the films, which is really cool. Different generations.
Will you go to that community and show the film?
No, because it's usually in Papua New Guinea or something. I wish, but
we've had some local ones.
Yeah, we've got some local ones. So for the Neighbors one that we showed in the South End, that's an example. And so it depends on the film, of course.
Now it's not only benefiting on that end of the screen, sitting in the seat, digging it with your popcorn. But you're also working with filmmakers on the other side, people that are actually having, doing their, I'm doing some films and she needs to, get some kind of exposure. You're working on that end as well.
Yeah, so we have a fiscal sponsorship program. And what that does is allows us to act as the 501c3 for a filmmaker who's looking for foundation grants or individual donations, like they want to have an event and have people donate to their project, if they're doing a Kickstarter campaign, all of those things, we kind of act as their kind of
liaison?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, and we kind of manage the donations and all of that. Cool. And so we're very involved in those projects, and we have about 50 right now. But so if you're a local filmmaker, or we do it nationally, and you need that service, we do provide that service, and we also provide some consulting services. We can give advice on fundraising and production and post-production, and
that's great.
We have all kinds of resources.
Speaking of all of that, the BNN TV is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year.
Yep.
Around for 30 years, which is really fascinating, and it's great. It's an incredible accomplishment. Not that cable access stations come and go that readily, but BNN has been kind of at the top of its craft for many, many, many years. And the way they've been celebrating this is that on the last Thursday of each month, they've been inviting people in to screen some work that's done here. And this month, we're going to have Art Cohen is going to be in, and the piece that he's going to be talking about is Jonathan Bird's Blue World. Now, it's an educational, family-oriented, underwater adventure type of thing where there's all kinds of different stories about underneath the world. But the thing is that Art Cohen is going to be in the room. And he's an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker, and he's been doing things on PBS. He does things on the Family Channel. He's been all over the place. And he is going to be in the studio, and that is going to be May 29th at 6:30. You got to go to www.bnntv.org. It's right there. It's right in your face, and make sure you RSVP, because seating is going to be at a premium for that. It doesn't cost you anything. It's an opportunity to come in and visit BNN, and also come in and do some schmoozing. So you have to RSVP by the 27th. And you can also give them a call at 617-708-3224. I think you talk to Janice Williams is the person you want to talk to. The other thing about this amazing building is this is a place where you can come and do television. BNN TV is the local cable access station, and what it is it's designed in two different levels. One level is for nonprofits. Let's say Julia's organization wanted to have a TV show where they came and talked about some things and screened some stuff here, what they would do is they would come and they would do a show on this station, the one you're watching right now. It's the news and information station. And the way you do that, and the other side, of course, is the access station, channel 23. And what that is that you become a member, you come in and you learn how to use all these amazing cameras and how to do lighting. You take some classes in Final Cut Pro, in sound, and how to set up this, how to put the mics on right, so they're on nice and tight. And then you go and you do your own programming. You sign out amazing equipment downstairs and go off and film the local ballet, doing the local town meeting. You come back and you edit it downstairs in the fabulous Timothy Smith computer lab where they have all these beautiful Macs lined up for you to use, and they put it on TV. So if you go to www.bnntv.org, click on Jim Atwood or Janice Williams' name, shoot them a line and tell them, hey, I heard this guy talking about that I can do TV too, and this is the place to do it. We promise to make sure that you get your story out there. It's great for nonprofits. You have an opportunity to sit here and talk to the community at large, in mass, about what your mission statement is. So this is the place to do that. Do you think you guys would ever be interested in doing? You guys are, where are you located?
Watertown.
Watertown. Now Watertown has a cable access station. Did you ever think of maybe hosting a show over there?
Yeah.
Will we get into a bidding war with them for your services?
I don't know. I mean, it's, there's only 5 of us, so we can only do so much.
Okay, yeah. I dig that.
But, yeah.
Okay, well, they watch us in Watertown, too. They just have to log on to there I go again, www.bnntv.org. The other thing I got to talk about, and I need to every week, and I want to every week, is our great supporters and the people that keep supporting us here. It's the Boston Main Streets program. Boston Main Streets is a nonprofit organization, volunteer-driven in the city of Boston. What they do is they help revitalize business districts around the city. They're the cats that are behind a lot of that stuff that's happening in Adams Park. They have their thumb right in there, making sure that community space is going to be to the best benefit of the people living in that community. They also help with the storefront. The business district is their main thing. They work with the property owners who have an empty storefront to make sure that they have all the correct demographic information so they know what kind of shop to put in down there. Once the shop's in there, the store owners get all kinds of support for design and how you get through the permitting process with the city, how my store should look, what hours should I stay open, stuff like that. And then the promotions committee, which runs all these concerts down the square, all the Tastes of Rosendale, all that kind of thing. So if you see somebody in a Main Street t-shirt or a Main Street jacket helping out at a table, please, for Julia and my sake, please thank them for all the things that they do, because they only do it because they love their community just like you. So thank them for us, will you? We appreciate it. All right, get everything in?
That's everything.
I think I did, yes. I did get everything in. A couple of weeks ago, we had Monica Haldeman on from Sacred Heart School. I'm going to tell you that Wednesday night at Sacred Heart is going to be a big STEAM fair.
A STEAM fair?
STEAM, yes.
Oh.
Science, technology,
okay.
Engineering, art, and math. All of the kids have been working feverishly putting things together. So if you're out in Rosendale area and you're kind of hanging out and you're looking for something to do, there you go, back and forth, boom, boom, boom. Drop in and check out what the kids are doing. It's the new way. It's the kind of launch for this whole STEM and STEAM educational type thing. It's exciting. I'm right in the middle of it. Oh, yeah. Well, STEM has no art in it. STEAM has art in it. So I'm a big STEAM fan, if you can only imagine.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. How's everything else?
Good. I'm going to do a Julia's World.
Yes, you are.
And then we have a great guest.
We do. We have an amazing, amazing painter. This is going to
I'm
really...
excited.
I've known Lisa for a while. She's been on the show back in the black and white days, right, Lisa? Yeah. So we're gonna sit and talk with her for a bit. Look at some beautiful work. She was on an adventure of a lifetime. I can't wait to talk to her about it. Listen, gang, you're watching BNN TV's It's All About Arts. If you want to give us a call, we're at 617-708-3290. And if you want to give us a tweet, we're at It's All About Arts on your Twitter account. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Listen, we're coming to you live. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Do not go away. You're going to enjoy the rest of this show. Thank you.
standing over there, just the other afternoon, hidden by shadows, waiting for a man, hidden from the sun, for a man that never comes, like a race that's never run. As the road widens, and it almost always will, you look upon this day, the outlook will broaden as you find it wasn't you, growing from a place with a bright and happy face, better trained to run that race. Answers never heard, feeling so absurd, empty, lost, confused, and blue. Phone calls not returned, lost and so concerned how to cope. Old friends will pull you like a race that's never run, like a bell that's never rung, like a song that's never sung.
Well, welcome back, gang. Thanks an awful lot for hanging in there with us. You are watching BNN TV's It's All About Arts. My name is Glenn Williams, and I'm your host. I just want to remind everybody that this show will be on YouTube tomorrow. About this time, it'll be up and running. If you go to your YouTube account and you type in It's All About Arts and the number 1, it'll get you to the station that has now about 40 or 45 different programs on over the years. Some of them really old, some of them way back, and we're very, very proud of all of that, and we want to share it with you. So that's how you can do that. But right now, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, once again, for Julia's World.
Hey guys, welcome to Julia's World. I've got 3 great events coming up for you. The first is the icon of New England, Tony Lynn Washington, the blues singer, is going to be at Ryle's Jazz Club on Saturday, May 24th at 9 p.m. She's an icon of New England and also the national and international blues music scene. She's been nominated 7 times for the Blues Music Awards, which is fantastic. So definitely a show worth seeing. Check it out. Again, that's at Ryle's Saturday, May 24th at 9 p.m. Second, at the Boston Society of Architects, there is a film series going on, and the next film that's happening on the 27th, Tuesday the 27th at 6:30 is called The Human Scale, Bringing Cities to Life. And that's going to be happening at the BSA space out on Congress Street. And this, I have a personal interest in this film. It discusses kind of the human migration to urban centers, I guess again, since it happened before. But this time, in 50 years, 80% of our population is going to be living in cities. And so this question of how do we adapt and make living in these mega cities sustainable. And it's a documentary, and it discusses the vision of an architect, and the documentarian travels all around the world kind of illustrating his vision, and somebody from this architect's studio is going to be at the screening for a Q&A afterwards, so it should be a really interesting conversation. And that again, Tuesday, May 27th at 6:30. Last, a big event that's happening on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th is the Boston Calling Music Festival, which is really cool that we have this in Boston, and it's going to be held in the City Hall Plaza, which is a really cool venue for a music festival. There's a great lineup this year. There's also going to be another festival in September, but we're focusing in the May one this time. So there's a really great lineup. Some of the bands that I'm interested in: Modest Mouse, Built to Spill, Edward Sharpe and the Manic Zeros. And you can find out the full lineup on the website bostoncalling.com. Tickets are going fast, so if any of those bands interest you, get your tickets fast. And that's all I have for this week's Julia's World. Back to you, Glenn.
Well, thank you, Julia. I appreciate that. Built to Spill. I like that. I think I want to go see those cats. Sounds very, very interesting. Once more, I want to remind everybody that if you want to send us a tweet, you can do that if you're interested in what's Julia's World. I love that the mural on that on the wall we have in this studio. It's great. I love it. I wish I knew who did that. But if you want to get involved and you want to let us know something that's going on in your area, that's how you do it. You go on your Twitter account and you give us a tweet and you say, hey, I think Julia's World should cover this, that, or the other thing. Would love to hear from you. And right now, it's my great pleasure and honor to reintroduce, welcome back, old friend Lisa Goren. Hello, Lisa. How are you, Lisa Goren?
Great to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
You were on some time ago.
A long time ago.
Was it in this building or the old building?
No.
It was when we were downtown, wasn't it?
Definitely.
That is a long time ago. Well, welcome back. And we shouldn't have made it so long. I'm glad to see you here. Lisa is one of the premier painters in the New England area. You've done some great, great work. We should be very proud of the work you've done.
Thank you.
My patent first question I like to ask our visual artists that are on it: if you were doing a website and there's a pull-down menu where you had to kind of categorize the kind of painter you are, abstract, realist, whatever all of those topics are, what would you pick? What would kind of like be the description of the kind of painter you are?
Well, I do watercolors of polar landscapes. Mm-hmm. And even though all of my paintings are based on photos, the actual landscapes are what you might consider abstract because they're not in our general experience. Although we saw some of it in the polar vortex here.
Yeah.
Mostly, my paintings are going from more representational and are becoming more and more abstract, or what you would consider abstract.
Right. Well, they may look abstract because we're not familiar with the landscape ourselves.
And the photos themselves can look abstract.
Right. Where do you collect your photos from? Do you travel out with the Brownie yourself and grab some shots, or?
These are mostly painted from my photos. The last time I was here, I had been to Antarctica, and I had done quite a few paintings from Antarctica. Since then, I've been privileged enough to go to Alaska and Iceland, so I'm going north.
Well, that's where the icebergs are.
Well, they're in both places.
Okay.
And then in the past year, I got back in October from an artist residency where I was sailing 500 miles from the North Pole with 26 other artists on a tall ship.
Okay, we're gonna get to that. I want to talk more about bit more about you as an artist and kind of what your general way that you do. You have a dedicated space that you work in?
I have a garret, is what I would call it.
Garret.
I'm on in the attic of my house.
Okay.
And I try and work every day. I've been more successful recently, but it comes and goes.
Right.
And I also am a mom, and so when I say I work every day, this doesn't mean 8 hours in the studio. It can mean an hour here, 45 minutes, or several hours.
Is it something that you need to be inspired to do? Or is it something not, I don't mean to put it this way, turn on and turn off. I mean, is it something that, you know, all right, I have an hour to right now this morning. I have an hour. I'm going to go up and work on that other piece that needed some attention. Are you that disciplined an artist, or is it like, I know I've got to go now because I have to create now?
I generally have something I'm working on. I usually work on several pieces at a time, partially because I work very wet, and once you've wet an area, you can't necessarily go back to it immediately. So I generally have 3 or 4 pieces going. So it's easy for me to say, if I have an hour, I know this space that I need to work on will take about an hour. Whereas if I know if I have many hours, I'll say, okay, this space, which is big.
I see. So you can pick and choose what you have by the afforded time you have.
Right. And I mean, I'm inspired in the sense that I know what I'm working on. I have the photos I'm using, and I try and plan it as much as possible. I mean, with the limited time, that's what you have to do.
Well, yeah, you have to be that disciplined.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself saying, I got to get upstairs. I got to get to the attic. I need to finish this. I need to work on that. I need my fix.
It depends. Generally, if I have a deadline, that's when that comes up.
That's a little different.
But I try. I try to say this is something I have to do.
Good, good. Now, do you set up an atmosphere? Are you up there listening to talking heads, or is it something that you set up your space? I know it's the same way when you left. When you come back, you want it to be there. But do you set an atmosphere for yourself up there?
Generally, I listen to NPR, sometimes music, podcasts.
So information, you can listen to information.
I like to have, it's as if I have other people around.
Some talking going on, yeah.
I take a class once a week at the New Art Center, and it's a studio class.
Yeah.
And that's about 4 hours, although I'm generally there for about 3 or 2.
Yeah.
And that's great. I like to be around people. I don't have a studio that's in a building with other artists. So this is sort of the way I can be with other people, get feedback, and just feel like I'm not all alone.
Yeah.
And
How is the New Art Center? Are you enjoying it over
It's
there?
great. It's great.
I bet it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I've heard great things.
I've had a show
You've
there.
had some shows.
Yeah,
You've
which was
worked-
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'll have a piece there in the student faculty show in June.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on that. Let's talk about this adventure you've been on. Julie, can you first of all, I think you don't really get a real idea of what kind of an adventure we're talking about until you get to look at the boat, the ship you were traveling about on. Was this is this a schooner?
It is a barkentine,
A barkentine.
which I had never heard of before I got on that boat.
Well, I've just heard it for the first time myself.
It's quite small. It's about 150 feet, I think.
And how many people were on this?
There were 26 other artists beside myself. Everyone had a roommate, except for one, obviously. There was a crew of maybe 5 people, and cook. And,
Well, I would
then
hope
a
there'd be
head-
people that knew how to steer the thing.
Yes, there is a captain.
You're on top of each other. It must have been pretty crowded.
It was very crowded. You have this image of going to the Arctic, of being in the North Pole or near the North Pole, of being alone and with the elements.
Yes, I'm sure you do.
And I was never alone. Never.
yeah.
I would get up very early in the morning and try and go out onto the deck before anyone was awake.
Right.
And there were usually 2 other people there at the same time,
That's
trying
great.
to do the same thing.
That's great. That's fabulous. Talk to me about what was it that brought this on? I know you've got lots of experience traveling and doing it, but it's called a residency, so you had to kind of go through a process to get to this point. Talk about that.
I applied for the residency 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And to be quite honest, I didn't think I would get it. I thought, I'll just apply because this is as far north as I could imagine being, and it's very exciting. And then I did get it. It was an honor to get it. And I found out that I was not sailing that year, but the year after. So that gave me a lot of time to prepare.
A lot of time to wait.
Well, I had to do some fundraising, so I did a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
I have a family that I had to really organize that absence. So actually, I was glad to have that amount of time. There are people who find out and then go 3 months later. When you're on the ship, you have to do a proposal for what kind of work you want to do, and generally it does relate to your previous work.
Right.
There are people who had ideas that were very different from their previous work, but mine was mostly based on a clear trajectory of polar art.
Right.
And I particularly wanted to do paintings of the ice.
Plein air painting?
I did some, but I really didn't. We didn't have a lot of time at each spot.
On the ship?
I did some on the ship,
That's gonna be.
but they're quite small,
Okay.
and it was uncomfortable. I forgot to bring a little chair to sit on, so I was
You won't
sitting
next
on
time.
rocks. Yeah, and you're in a lot of gear,
Yeah,
and it's not the most comfortable.
And it's cold.
Yeah, it was no colder than it was here in Boston this winter at times.
It was cold here in
Right.
Boston.
But you're also wearing a lot of gear because
Yeah.
you want to stay dry.
Right, exactly.
So you're actually more bundled up than you would be here.
You know what I think we want to do is we want to look at some of the work. I think that's very, very important for us to see. So it's going to come up here on the screen here. Why don't you tell me what we're looking at right here?
So that's a photo of moss that's growing in an abandoned whaling station, and that moss grows on the oil
Okay.
that from the whales that were killed. And that moss is very old. We weren't allowed to touch it. And I was really excited about it because one of the proposals I had sent in was about whale bones and about whaling stations.
Okay.
So this is like, to me, it's a triumph of this plant over what is a pretty tragic area. There
Okay.
were no more whales there.
We've got a few to go through. Why don't we talk
This
a little
is-
bit about what we're looking at?
This is a photograph of moss growing under the ice. And you can see this is a very abstract photograph. You can tell what it is when I tell you what it is, but it's sort of, what is that? Again, I'm really interested in the fact that something's growing in this very extreme environment. This is a painting from one of the photographs that will be afterwards. And the light there is very unusual. We were there from September to October as it was getting darker and darker. And it would be totally dark for many months. There's no such thing as high noon. It's always a sunrise or a sunset. The sun sort of goes blip, and then it's gone. And so the light is very flat.
That's got to be kind of, I see why you work from photographs then. I mean, you got to catch it the way you want it because it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And also my paintings take a long time. So, and this is the photograph it came from, and you can see,
I
it,
see.
it
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
a painting.
Yeah.
It was very, very flat, and the sky changes. Really, I could take another picture another minute later, and the sky would be very different.
Yeah.
And then next would be, this is the painting, one of the paintings I've done of that ice, the moss growing under the ice. It's something I keep working on trying to capture with these big pieces of white, but each time I do it, I find something else that I'm
What
interested
are the
in.
size of these pictures?
That picture, that's a full sheet, which is a 22 by 30.
Okay.
And that's a 300-pound hot press paper.
That's big paper.
Yeah, big. And then this is a photograph from Iceland. On my way back, I went through Iceland, which is continually inspiring to me. These are rocks, just a rock formation. Nobody did this. This is just by the ocean. It's unbelievably beautiful. And then the next photo, I think, will be a painting of those rocks. So, yes, and you can see I've only taken a small part of it and focused on that. And that's what I do is I often will just take a chunk of a photo and keep working on that photo in many different places because it was so beautiful and interesting.
Okay.
And then finally, that is another version. I have a painting here as well. This is a smaller version of the whaling station.
Yep.
And I'm just so inspired by that vista that I just keep returning to it.
You know what I find interesting in this piece is that there seems to be more color involved in this one. Is there more than this one?
Now that's from the same photo.
No, what I'm saying is
Oh.
yeah, why don't we get those up here while we're finishing this?
Yeah.
Now, there seems to be more color involved in this one than there was the other one. Did you add the color, or was the color something that, are there northern lights?
There are northern lights. You wouldn't
Okay.
see them in the light time. One of the things about it is that after a certain point, it has to be about the painting.
Yep.
And so, yes, for you to see that orange, that really, really mustardy orange, I need to make sure that that really pops in a
Yep.
way that it doesn't in the photograph. But it's also true that the photograph will be very flat because
Right.
of the light. So you have those two things working against each other.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty fascinating. That's really, really beautiful work.
Thank
I've
you.
been fortunate to see your work live, and right now we're pretty lucky to have a couple of pieces here in the studio to take a look at. If we could come back. There we are. We're back. Thank you very much for bringing us back here, David. We've got a couple of things on the desk here, but this piece here, just to give people an idea of the size that we're talking about, there's a lot of Crayola paint on there, isn't there?
This is, when I was on the trip, I really had a lot of ideas, and I hadn't felt that I could do them. And being with all these other artists, it was very inspiring, and they said, go, do it, try it. And I said, I don't want to frame my paintings anymore. I want to have really big pieces. To frame this piece would be very expensive.
Right.
And I want it to be more accessible.
Yeah, talk for a second about that, how not framing and putting it onto glass is kind of an approach that you're kind of working on now. What is that all about?
Well, I call these paintings watercolor quilts, in a way, because they are on 100% cotton paper.
Yeah.
And they're sprayed with a fixative, and they are hung like quilts. They can be hung anywhere that a quilt could be hung. And they're no more fragile than that. Obviously, they can be ripped, but so can quilts sometimes.
I'm getting a feeling.
But my feeling is that they're so much more approachable that if I have this piece next to another piece under glass, I find that people will come up, they want to touch it, they want to know what is it made out of. It's just much more engaging.
Yeah.
And I'm just frustrated all the time by having to frame things. Although when I frame them, I take it very seriously and I frame them well. It's just exciting for me to get these pieces out and hang them the way they exist.
Yeah.
And when I first finished them.
That's beautiful. With Julia's come back and joined us here. You kind of whispered out a question. Where can people see your stuff?
Well,
I don't mean to call it stuff. Is it okay to call
you
it
can
stuff?
call it whatever you want.
Don't give me that latitude. I mean, it's beautiful work.
Thank you very much.
Where do people get a chance to come and kind of hang out with you?
Well, I try and show a lot. Right
Up in
now,
Dedham, wasn't there something in
I
Dedham?
was at the Dedham Open Studios this
Yeah.
past weekend.
How did that go?
I was outside, which I rarely go outside because of these pieces on paper.
Yeah.
And it was a great weekend. And
Were you
it
under
was,
a tent?
I was right in front of the marquee of the Dedham Community Theater.
That's
So
a nice
it was
spot.
great. We had a lot of traffic, and there were a lot of people introduced to my stuff. So that was really,
I like the
and there's my
place
stuff.
across the street, the Paradise, is a
Yeah,
nice place to
yeah.
play. But how did it go? Were a lot of people?
Yeah,
There must
so
have
were
been
a
a
lot
ton
of
of people out with the weather.
Ton of people.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we missed that.
Right. So right now I'm at the Taylor House Bed and Breakfast in Jamaica Plain, and they really do a great job of showing my work. And that is the first place that I'm hanging some of these pieces, these large pieces. They're up against big walls, and they look really great.
That's good.
Then I also am a member of the National Association of Women Artists, which has just opened a Massachusetts chapter, and I was accepted into a national show at the Whistler House in Lowell.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be there. There's a reception on the 31st. And then I don't want to forget anything because I'm sure I will. Oh, and then I'm going to show at the South Shore Art Center. I'm a gallery artist
I
there.
love the South Shore Arts
It's
Center.
a really great place. And they
It is
have a
awesome.
festival the
Yes.
South Shore Arts Festival. And
Yes.
that is the second or third week in June, and I apologize
Get
for
the
not
strawberry
remembering.
shortcake.
All right.
Because it's one of the things that they're famous for is the strawberry shortcake. I love the South Shore Arts Festival, but it's always been a lot of fun on that big green in there.
Yeah, it's
2
beautiful.
double green. Oh, it's just great.
And they do a great job hanging work and inside a tent.
Yeah, it's
And
huge.
it's
These
huge,
enormous tents.
Yeah.
Do you have a website people can visit?
Yes, www.lisagoren, Goren, paintingswithan.com.
You're lucky you got that side.
I did a while ago when we were in black and white, right?
In the early days
In
of
the
the
early
web,
days.
dial up.
Yeah. So I was happy to get that.
I'm fascinated with these. I got to ask you though, when you're opening it up and kind of letting people get closer and more personal with your work, are there white gloves there for the real quilt people? You know how quilt people are.
I wish that I was paid more attention to that kind of thing, but I'm not as precious about it. I fling them in the car, I wrap them up, I'm not always so careful, but they can take a beating.
Yeah.
They're really heavy.
I don't think people realize when you say 300-pound paper, it's not how much it weighs, it's kind of what the absorbency and how thick and how much,
It's how much a ream of paper weighs. It's
Yeah.
300 pounds, so it's quite heavy.
Yeah,
And
very
it's-
thick, and it can
It's
take
about the heaviest watercolor paper, and when I teach classes, I have them buy one piece of 300-pound paper, and I feel bad because I say to them, "I'm really sorry, but you're starting off driving a Jaguar."
Yes,
it's like
yeah, right. You
it's
gotta
so
know
amazing.
You're going to waste that paper if you don't. You get brown paper like I get.
Well, I
get
get cheapo paper, and then I say, "Okay, let's try this other paper," and then they're, "Oh, that is pretty awesome."
Yeah.
So once you've tried it, it's hard to go back.
Right, right. Julia, you know where where is the house that you're at?
The
Taylor House?
Taylor House. Yeah. That's on Burroughs Street in
Okay.
Jamaica Plain,
Very
right off
great.
of Center Street. And in fact, for First Thursday, we'll have a reception there.
Tell
from
us when. The first
6th
Thursday of next month?
of June, which is the 5th, I think, of June.
That's awesome. Let us know exactly. We'll look it up exactly, maybe throw it into one of the Julia
Yeah.
worlds, and then we'll also make sure it's on our website so people can
And that'll be a
dig
great
that out.
place to see a lot of my work, because I probably have 13 or 14 pieces up there.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us. We really do appreciate it. You're a fabulous artist. You're going to be in Rosnell Open Studios?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I wasn't last year because
know.
I was away.
Well,
I was in the Arctic. That was my excuse. I was in the North Pole.
Well, I want it in writing this year. No, I'm only kidding. You've always been a great addition to Open Studios in all of the areas, so it's always been a lot of fun to have you on. And listen, let's not be strangers so much longer. Let's have you back with some more work. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to have
No,
you
thank
look
you
at my
very
work.
much for being here.
Thanks.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have some live work in the studio. We had pictures do one thing, but look at she's reaching out and touching it.
Touching it.
Yeah, I want to feel the paper.
Listen, gang, thanks an awful lot for being here with us tonight. This has been a lot of fun. Where can they tweet us again, Julia?
At It's All About Arts.
Now that's that little round A, right?
Yeah.
I'm a dinosaur sometimes when it comes to that kind of stuff. I can't tell you what I was calling it when we first got the address.
It was inappropriate.
It was very inappropriate. But I want to thank everyone for being here with us this evening. Thanks an awful lot for being here. Get out, do something artful for yourself. The season is just beginning. Dedham has counted it down, and we are going to have art all summer long. This is the place to get all of your information about it. At itsallaboutarts.com. Listen, gang, thanks an awful lot for being here. And like I like to say every week, please keep in the forefront of your mind our mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, aunts and uncles, and nieces and nephews on foreign soil. Please do something artful. Do it for them. Stay tuned for the Greek Show. Listen, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Nothing next week. We'll see you later, gang. Bye-bye.